What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. My name is Kyle. Happy Wednesday evening. We're going to be hanging out for the next, half an hour, 40 minutes. We're going to go over today's practice reports, and then we will open it up and get some questions answered from the chat room. So I'm going to open up Underdog NFL's Twitter feed here. I'm just going to read some of the player news from today, and then if you guys are just going to hang out and get your question in the chat room, I will get to them shortly. So come on and hang out, and we're going to just read the news here. We got DJ Chark, Hayden Hurst, limited in practice today for the Chargers. So Chargers potentially getting healthier with their weapons on the outside. That could be nice. Quentin Johnston also limited here. So 3 weapons maybe back for the Chargers this week. We'll see. Don't know if we're trusting these guys in our fantasy lineups, but it is good overall for the Chargers offense. Eagles, Dallas Goedert still not practicing with that hamstring. That's pretty concerning. I would say he's not on track to play this week. Hopefully he can get a limited in tomorrow or Friday and be on track for week number 10, but I'm thinking Dallas Goedert misses another week here. So Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown looking like good wide receiver 1s and 2 targets. Some good news here for the Baltimore Ravens. Keaton Mitchell fully practiced today. Still don't know if he's going to make his debut this week, but I would bet maybe week 10 or 11 we see Keaton Mitchell enter the backfield for the Ravens. Rams receiver Jordan Whittington officially limited today. Not really sure we need to hold on to him in redraft leagues, but I think in dynasty leagues you can hold on to him. Jaguars, we have Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Etienne, and Gabe Davis all listed as limited in practice today. We also got a report from, I think it was Doug Peterson, that said Etienne's probably expected back this week. So Etienne, I think he's back into that, that late RB2, kind of RB2 flex range as far as rankings go. I still think Tank Bigsby will lead the team in carries, but Etienne's going to work in third down, 2-minute drill, passing downs, that kind of stuff, and get a few carries. So I like Etienne back. And then Thomas Jr. and Gabe Davis, I'm pretty sure I saw that both of them had non-contact jerseys on today. So we'll watch for that tomorrow to see if they have the regular jerseys on. The Titans, Tony Pollard and Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd don't practice Wednesday. It's Wednesday. I'm not going to take anything too crazy with these guys here. I expect them to play. Calvin Ridley didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday last week, and he played and had a huge workload. So maybe just a veteran day's rest here for these guys. Dallas Cowboys, Rico Dowdle, not on the injury report with that illness here. T. Higgins for the Bengals doesn't practice. I would say he's doubtful right now. So if you're holding out hope for Higgins, I would probably make sure I have a backup plan just in case. The New York Jets did list Allen Lazard out for tomorrow night. So fire up Devontae Adams, even though he's been struggling, and Garrett Wilson. Chris Olave, good to go. Kendre Miller, though, doesn't practice on Wednesday. He re-injured that hamstring that he hurt in August, and I don't think we're going to see him for a while here. So I had been stashing Kendre in a few leagues. I'm probably dropping him in a few leagues. Tyrone Tracy, the running back for the Giants, concussion protocol. He does not practice today. I did see that he was off to the side, though, working with trainers. So he's got a chance to maybe get a limited practice in tomorrow. We'll see about that. Josh Jacobs didn't practice today among a bunch of other Packers. I think it's more of a walkthrough rest day. He says he's going to play week 9. So don't fear Josh Jacobs not making practice today. We have to keep an eye on Amari Cooper, who was limited in practice today with a wrist injury. DK Metcalf not practicing today, but the Seahawks remain optimistic that he'll play. So we'll watch for those reports tomorrow and Friday. Jordan Love officially didn't practice today. Again, it's Wednesday. These are more walkthrough Wednesday type things. Tomorrow will be a more important practice report day for the Packers. And the New Orleans Saints are optimistic that Derek Carr will play in week 9, which is good for Kamara. That's good for Olave. Not really sure we need anybody else on Saints for fantasy. It looks like Bryce Young is starting for week 9. So your Panthers getting another look here at Bryce Young. My leagues have waiver wire running tonight. So I'm looking at Leggett, Thielen, and Coker as potential ads for the rest of the season. More Panthers. Adam Thielen limited in practice today. Jonathan Brooks fully practices today. So maybe we see the rookie debut here for Jonathan Brooks. We're not starting him if he is playing. Adam Thielen, who I think is going to play. Excited to see those two guys back playing for the Panthers. Brock Bowers had an undisclosed injury, but he's fine. No worries there from the head coach. Alexander Madison will remain the Raiders starting running back, but they do want to see more Zamir White. So I think you can still start Madison this week, and we'll kind of evaluate that after the game. Let me see what else we got here. Tajay Spears for the Titans has a good chance to play in week 9, so good news there. The Texans have listed Dameon Pierce as out for tomorrow night, so Big Joe Mixon workload coming, maybe a little bit of sprinkles of Dare Ogunbowale. We got Will Levis practicing today, and then I think we're pretty much caught out. Drake May limited, so he's got a chance to play off that concussion, so we'll watch for Drake May. And then I'm back up into yesterday's news. So without further ado, I'm going to open up some of the chats here and see what you guys got going on. Good afternoon, good evening to Jason. Hope you're doing well. Good evening to Harris as well. We got offered Neighbors for Pickens and K9. I love Malik Neighbors, but I don't want to give up Kenneth Walker, man. I think Kenneth Walker's like, if we're drafting again today, I mean, he might be a top 10 pick right now. So I don't want to give up Kenneth Walker. And, Neighbors obviously is better than Pickens, but Kenneth Walker, I think, weighs a lot in this trade here. So I'm going to hold on to Pickens and Kenneth Walker. Would you do a single QB, Nico Collins for Jaden Daniels? I'm confused by that question, Harris. Would you do a single QB, Nico Collins? Is that a QB and Nico Collins for Jaden Daniels? Personally, I'm holding on. If I can hold on to Nico Collins, I want Nico Collins on my team the rest of the year. We're going to go TJ Hawkinson rest of season. I just think the volume could be better for TJ Hawkinson. Again, Tucker Kraft, he's a guy that's, going to get 2, 3, 4 catches per game. But I think Hawkinson could look pretty nice starting this weekend and get, upwards of 4, 5, 6 catches per game. So I'm going to lean TJ Hawkinson slightly. So we have to wait for Brian Thomas Jr. Let's assume Brian Thomas Jr. plays. I think in a non-PPR league, it comes down to who's more likely to catch the touchdowns. And right now that is Brian Thomas Jr. He's also been good for yards lately. I'm going to lean Brian Thomas Jr. They're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles have been playing better on the defensive side of the ball, but Brian Thomas Jr., man, he's been fantastic. So in a non-PPR, I would lean Brian Thomas. In a full PPR, I would lean Neighbors. Jason needs wide receiver help rest of season. Douglas, Leggett, Mechie, Thielen, Pearsall, Tolbert, Moore. And also I need to start one this week. If we're starting one this week, I'm not going to start John Mechie tomorrow night. I don't want to start Demario Douglas. If Thielen plays, I'm open to Adam Thielen. Obviously, Pearsall's on bye. I don't hate Jalen Tolbert. Tolbert's probably the safest play for, 6 to 10 points. But if Thielen plays this weekend, I will play Adam Thielen against the Saints. Otherwise, I would say Tolbert, Moore, Douglas, Leggett, Mechie is how I would rank those guys. Rico or Demario Douglas full PPR. If Rico's on track to play, I'm going to play Rico Dowdle over Demario Douglas. We've seen some good numbers from Rico up until the bye week, so I'll go Rico here. So I don't think I don't know how much they're going to use Keaton Mitchell in the passing down role. Like I think, and they extended Justice Hill, like they gave him a contract to be that third down back. So I don't think Justice Hill's passing down role is in trouble. If anything, those 2-3 carries that Justice Hill gets per game, those could go to Keaton Mitchell. And again, as the season gets, longer here, maybe we don't see Derrick Henry get up to 20 carries per game. Maybe they want to keep him fresh and kind of keep him in the 15 to 18. I think at most you're probably going to see Keaton Mitchell get 5 or 6 carries in a game. So really the only way Keaton Mitchell becomes startable for fantasy football is if Derrick Henry gets hurt. And I know he's a home run threat, but he's primarily an insurance policy on Henry. Hopkins, Eckler, Moss, Palmer, half PPR. I think you got to go Hopkins. Yeah, I'm gonna go Hopkins here. I'm not super excited about Eckler and Moss and half PPR. And Palmer's nice. He's a deep threat, but they are getting healthier. That sounds like they might be getting 3 players back on the offensive side of the ball that could cut into targets here. So I'm gonna go Hopkins. I have Deontay and Flowers. Would you start both? I also, the one league where I have Deontay, I have Zay Flowers in that league as well. And I might actually be starting both of these guys. If Brian Thomas Jr. can't go, I'm kind of stuck with Deontay Johnson. So it's not ideal. If you have to start both, I think it's fine. And basically you're just kind of wide netting it and saying, I want 20 to 30 points between these two receivers and see what happens. I'm not quite sure where Deontay is going to, step right in this first game. I think he's going to take snaps and routes from Nelson Aguilar first. And if he does continue to ramp up, maybe he takes a little bit out of Bateman's pocket, a little bit out of Isaiah Likely's pocket in 3 wide receiver sets. So it's not ideal, but I might have to do it as well. Rico Dowdle or Raheem Mostert. Mostert scored the touchdowns last weekend, so I do like that part of it. I'm not super excited to play Raheem Mostert because he's kind of touchdown or bust. He's had 2 nice games this year, 2 not so nice games, but he's getting carries. In 4 games this year, he's got 6 carries. That game, he got hurt week 1, and then 19 carries week 5, 11 carries in week 7, 9 against the Cardinals here. So I think you probably got to go with Raheem Mostert just because the touchdowns are there and he's getting the same amount of touches that a Rico Dowdle would get. So I'm going to lean Raheem Mostert slightly. And good afternoon, good evening to Mike. Downs or DJ Moore? I don't trust DJ, and I don't disagree, man. I think Joe Flacco with Josh Downs, that's probably where I'm going to land. I just want to pull up these numbers here from Josh Downs in the 2, I believe it was 2 full games with Flacco this year. And I think it was this game here. Was it the Tennessee game? It was the Tennessee game and the Jacksonville game. So in those 2 games, Jacksonville 9 for 69 against Tennessee, 7 for 66 and a touchdown. And did he play in the Pittsburgh game? Flacco might have played in that Pittsburgh game here as well. Yeah, so we have 3 games with Flacco and Josh Downs, and he's had catches of 8, 9, and 7. You're playing Josh Downs right now. I think Downs is a pretty nice wide receiver too. We got CMC and Mason and Garendo on my team. Okay. I'm not sure what I need to do there. It would be Nico Collins for Daniel straight up in a 1 QB league. I would ask you who your QBs are, but I think Nico might be more valuable to me when he returns, and they're down Stephon Diggs. Don't forget, he might have been the wide receiver 1 when he was humming. So I like Nico Collins more than Jaden Daniels, I think, but it's close. Tua, Goff, and Stafford. Tua, Goff, and Stafford. Okay, so for this week, you got Tua against Buffalo. I think that's in Buffalo. You have Goff in Green Bay and Stafford against the Seahawks. They're all kind of QB2s this week. If I had to choose just one, I'm probably going to lean Jared Goff, and I know he missed practice today, but he's got the best offense. I think Tua is fine, but on the road in Buffalo makes me a little bit nervous. If I'm ranking them, I'm going to go Tua, Stafford, or not, my bad. I'm going to go Goff, Tua, Stafford. As much as I like Stafford, he's had 1 good game all year. It was last week. He did throw 4 touchdowns. Still don't know if I can trust it quite yet. So I'm going to go Goff, Tua, Stafford for the ranking. Jennings or JSN rest of season? I'm going to stick with JSN. Just with Ricky Pearsall now emerging, I'm kind of nervous that the 49ers receivers are going to be kind of playing ping pong, whether it's Debo or Kittle or Pearsall or Jennings. I feel good about JSN continuing to be in there and getting a lot of targets. So in a full PPR, I would go JSN. Pick 3, Dalton, Spears, Gabe Davis, Benson, Gibson. There's a lot of names here. Andy Dalton is not in my list here. We're starting 3 of these guys. Wow. This is a tough question here, Harris. I don't know what to do. If Tajay Spears plays, I'll play Tajay Spears. I kind of like Michael Wilson lately, and then I'll go Jonnu Smith. Stroud, Herbert, Stafford, Cousins. I'm probably not going with CJ Stroud this weekend on a short week. Only Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz to throw the ball to. I'm going to cross Stroud off my list. I'm probably going to go Kirk Cousins, man. At home against Dallas, I think that game's got the most projected point totals in it. I'm going to go Cousins. If I had to rank them, I'm going to go Cousins, Stafford, Stroud, Herbert. Good question there. So we talked about it a little bit last night. I think Deontay Johnson rest of season. When you think about what his value would have been if he stayed on the Panthers, I think it's better that he's on the Ravens than the Panthers. He's not going to get that 10, 12 targets per game in this offense. He might have one game where he, goes crazy and gets a lot of targets, but he's going to saddle up as the wide receiver 3 behind Bateman and Zay Flowers. Now, the big thing is the Ravens are dead last right now in 3 wide receiver sets. So that number's coming up. So we're going to see more 3 wide receiver sets for the Ravens. But when they're not in 3 wide receiver sets, when Likely's on the field and they're doing the 2 tight end stuff, I don't know if Deontay is going to be the wide receiver 2. I would think Bateman is still the wide receiver 2, but maybe we see some rotations there with Deontay, Bateman, and Zay Flowers. So he's kind of like wide receiver 2B in Bateman's 2A. So I think you're probably looking at, and Nelson Aguilar has been the 3rd receiver all year, but Deontay is definitely an upgrade there. So I think what we're looking at is a player that we're not super excited about to start every week, but his efficiency is going to go up with Lamar Jackson. So touchdowns are going to be there. More red zone opportunities are going to be there. I'm hoping for some touchdowns with Deontay the rest of the way. But as far as volume, he's going to maybe be a 3 or 4 catch guy per game. I don't know. I still expect Zay Flowers to lead this team in targets the rest of the way. But he's going to compete for targets with Bateman, with Andrews, and Isaiah Likely. He's going to be kind of the 3rd or 4th target in that offense. So not super excited to start Deontay. I was really hoping he would go to the Texans. I was kind of disappointed with the landing spot. For real life football, it's awesome for the Ravens. They got him for basically nothing. But for fantasy, it's going to be hard to trust Deontay Johnson, at least for now. If Love plays, I'm playing Love, man. Nope. If Love plays, I'm playing Love. It is risky for re-injury, but at this point, anyone can get injured. So I'm going to play Love. Bo Nix or Caleb Williams. I didn't like what I saw from Caleb Williams in the Bears offense last week. I don't really want to risk it as bad as that looked last week. I'm going to go with Bo Nix, even though it's against the Ravens, but the Ravens just allowed a ton of yards to Jameis Winston and company. It's in Baltimore, but I'm going to lean Bo Nix here, who's got that rushing upside too. In a non-PPR league, I mean, it really doesn't matter. In a non-PPR league, the question is who's going to get 40 to 60 yards and who's got the better chances of a touchdown. They're very, very equal in terms of who would catch more touchdowns. It might be Jawan Jennings, but he's also got the lowest floor where he can go 2 for 10 most weeks. I think I'm still going to lean Jackson Smith in the Jigwip because I think his floor is going to be higher week to week. Javonte Williams or Rico Dowdle this week, rest of season. I'm not super excited about starting running backs against the Ravens. So I think I'm going Rico Dowdle against the Falcons. And I want to see the Cowboys finally figure it out. It's been really frustrating because Rico Dowdle is their best running back, and yet they're experimenting with Zeke and Dalvin Cook and Deuce Vaughn. So I'm optimistic that we'll get some Rico Dowdle touches soon. I'm going to go Rico Dowdle over Javonte this week. Rest of season might be a different answer. Even rest of season, I think I'm still going to go Rico Dowdle. Deontay or Addison rest of season. That one's pretty easy. I'm going to go Addison. And I know TJ Hawkinson's coming back, but I think Addison is locked in as the number 2 receiver. He's going to compete with number 2, number 3 targets every week behind Jefferson. Whereas we just don't know what we're going to get with Deontay. And I just think the passing volume is up and down in Baltimore. Whereas in Minnesota, we know it's always going to be up there. So I will lean Addison rest of season. White, Palmer, Worthy. I'm going to rank them as White, Worthy, Palmer. I think you're starting Rachaad White if you have him. Just he's so good in the receiving game right now. Are you okay dropping Andy Dalton in a super flex? Sure. I mean, we'll be honest here. If you're using Andy Dalton in a super flex, it's probably not going as we planned. If you have Andy Dalton in a super flex and you need the spot, go ahead and do it. I'd rather own Joe Flacco over Andy Dalton. I'd rather have Jameis Winston. I'm sure he's picked up already. But if you can upgrade Flacco from Dalton, I think I would. And we might see Andy Dalton back at some point here, but the Panthers should really just let Bryce Young play it out and get that experience up for next year. Froggy Man, McConkey or Cooper Kupp. Ooh, we're at that point with Ladd McConkey. That's a good problem to have, though. We like Ladd McConkey a lot. I'm going to lean Cooper Kupp here just because I trust Cooper Kupp with Matthew Stafford in that offense. He did come out and get 5 for 51 and a touchdown last weekend on 8 targets. Maybe this is the game where he comes out and gets a ton of targets like he did week 1. I'm going to ride with Cooper Kupp. Even though I like Ladd McConkey, it is a tough matchup on paper going up against Cleveland. They still have a good defense and some good cornerbacks over there. But Chargers just don't really throw the ball consistently enough. And they're also getting back Quentin Johnston, Hayden Hurst, maybe DJ Chark is back. There might be more options to throw to, so I'm going to lean Cooper Kupp here. Palmer, Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Chubb, DeMario, Madison, Rachaad White, Waddle, PPR. I'm going to go Jalen Waddle in full PPR. And I know he didn't have a big game last week, but it was Tua's first game back. He went 4 for 45. Full PPR, that's 8 points here. In the couple games that he did play with Tua, he had 16 points, 8 points, got hurt against Buffalo. So you're asking for a floor of 8 to 10 points with that upside, of almost 20 points, and maybe he catches a touchdown. I think Buffalo-Miami is going to be a fun game. So I choose Waddle. If you don't like Jalen Waddle, I think I will go with Travis Etienne, or Rachaad White would be my third. Andy Dalton or Demario Douglas. I mean, you don't have to hold on to Andy Dalton in a super flex league, I guess. Douglas or Rico, we're going Rico. Frogman has Hurts, Mixon, Jones, Jamar, Kupp, Njoku, Kenneth, Vikings, Siebert. In the benches, Broncos, Kmet. Okay, let's unpack that. You're starting Hurts. I think you're starting Mixon for sure. I like Aaron Jones. I like Kenneth Walker. Those 3 are locked in. Jamar and Kupp, I think, are locked in. Njoku over Kmet. I think you have it optimized. It sucks leaving Tank Dell and Ladd McConkey, and they got a good team, man. Dell, Waddle, and McConkey on the team on the bench, but I think you have it optimized. I don't think I would change it. I do like Aaron Jones against the Colts on Sunday Night Football here, so I think you're in good shape. I would probably leave it as you got it there. Douglas or that's Parker Washington for the Jags. I mean, I like Demario Douglas, but he really doesn't have our trust right now. I mean, the last 3 games here, or last 2 games, he's only had 3 targets, 3 fantasy points in each of the last 2 games. He's had 3 nice games, one with Jacoby Brissett, another 3 games with 9 targets here, but it's very, very it's volatile. 3 targets in every other game, 9 targets in a few games here. I don't mind taking a shot on Parker Washington to see what he can do, because I do think he's going to operate in the slot. So we'll try. We'll move on from DeMario, and we'll see what Parker Washington can do. Any position you should target with trades. I mean, you're in position here with Pickens. Like, you should move some of these bench receivers. Pickens, Waddle, Dell, McConkey. If you want, you can try, and I would probably try something like this. I would take Aaron Jones and go to a team that needs, 2 players, and say, I will give you Aaron Jones and one of these bench receivers, whether it's Pickens, Waddle, Dell, McConkey. I would try and cash in Jones plus a receiver and try and get like a stud running back if I can. Because you still have Kenneth Walker there and Mixon, but if you can upgrade it, or if you want, you could try and do 2 receivers. You got a lot of receivers, so Waddle plus Dell could equal a really nice wide receiver one, something like that. So I think you're in prime position to cash in on that bench depth with the receivers. You're not going to use all those guys. So if you can, like, maybe Dell plus Waddle equals, I don't know, DK Metcalf, Malik Neighbors, Drake London. Like, you're looking at like a top 10 receiver if you cash in two of those guys. Or you could try Jones plus receiver to get a running back there. But you're in very good shape. You have a lot of depth. So I would lean into the depth and try and start looking for trade partners that want two players for one player. Commanders, Texans, or Chargers. So that's defense. I'm going to go Chargers. I don't trust the Texans tomorrow night on a short week against the Jets. I don't trust the Commanders defense. They're still not a good defense. They did kind of stifle the Bears, but they're still a bad defense. I like the Chargers defense. Cleveland, Jameis Winston is turnover prone at times. I could easily see a special teams or a defensive touchdown there. I'm going to say Chargers. Tillman, Worthy, Deontay Johnson, double PPR. I'm going to go Tillman and Worthy. I like what Worthy's been doing the last few games since Rashee Rice has gone down. We're seeing Worthy's targets go up, which is nice. Back-to-back games of 8 targets. So he's starting to ramp up his workload and get more looks from Patrick Mahomes. And he's got a really good chance at scoring a touchdown. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year. So I like Worthy for his 3-4 catches plus a chance at a big play. And then Tillman is a huge play threat right now. I will play Tillman. I kind of want to see what Deontay Johnson looks like before we trust him. It's also his first game. He's probably not going to be out there for a ton of snaps and routes. So Tillman, Worthy, pretty easy for me. Javonte or Bucky in a double PPR. So Bucky's been pretty good. He's been catching passes too. He caught 7 passes last week, 3, 2, 2, 1, 3. I think at this point I'm just going to choose Bucky Irving because I like the Bucs offense better to move the ball. They're down all those receivers. They're using the running backs in the receiving game. He had 7 catches last week, man. They trust him as a receiver. I'm going to say Bucky just because Ravens are good against running backs, man. I don't really want to mess with that in a game where they could get behind and abandon the run. I'm going to go Bucky. Eagles or Texans. We're going to go Eagles here. Eagles at home against the Jags, down some receivers. We're going to go Eagles. I think they're a top 5 play this week. I'm going to hit refresh on some of my feeds here and see if there's any more news that we need to cover. But I think we're in good shape. I will be going live tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So we'll have another day of practice reports to go over. We'll get you guys ready for Thursday Night Football. So if you guys do want to hang out tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, I will be going live to do basically what we're doing now. But if you guys have any more questions, you guys can always reach me on X, whether it's, just tweet at me or DM me there. I will always answer questions there. We are family. Good evening to Lee. Swift, Waddle, Chuba Hubbard, pick 2. I think you got to go with Swift for sure. He's the one guy that sticks out among the other two. And then Chuba, man, we got full practice from Jonathan Brooks today. I don't know if he's going to play this week, but there's going to be a chance we see him soon. But I also saw Miles Sanders get a lot of run. He had 7 catches last week. So maybe we're losing a little bit of faith in Chuba Hubbard. He didn't score a touchdown last week. I think his arrow is slightly pointed down just with Brooks and Chuba and Sanders playing a little bit more. So I think I'm going to go Jalen Waddle here, who's, he's guaranteed 8 to 10 point floor. And in a game against Buffalo, we could see that game kind of blow up and have a lot of points in it. So Lee, I like Swift and I like Waddle. Good afternoon. All right. Halloween's already here. Yeah, we got Halloween tomorrow, but it's weird. Like today in the Midwest, it was 70 degrees. Yesterday was 80 degrees. And of course, tomorrow, Halloween, it's got to be a rainy Halloween day. But happy Halloween, everybody. Chuba or Worthy full PPR. I do like it's a good matchup. Like I want to like Chuba Hubbard this week. They're playing the Saints. We saw the Broncos finally get their run game going against that team. So it does make sense for Chuba to have a good game, but I'm struggling to trust it essentially. Whereas right now, Worthy against Tampa Bay, that sounds kind of fun and it's prime time. We get to watch that game. I think For me, I'm going to go with Worthy. He's been back-to-back games of 8 targets, which has been pretty nice. If you're getting 8 Patrick Mahomes targets, I kind of want to start you. And I know DeAndre Hopkins is there now too, but Worthy remains a big play threat in that offense. They can run the ball with him. Good chance at a touchdown again. I'm going to lean Worthy here because I think he's also got the bigger ceiling. I don't really have a lot of confidence in Bryce Young. If Andy Dalton were starting, I might say Chuba Hubbard here, but I'm going to lean Worthy. Yes, I agree. Should I go Kupp or McLaurin? Oh, man. Terry's been playing good ball. They're playing the Giants this week. They played the Giants earlier in the year, and he only went 6 for 22 in that game. Every other game since then, though, he's been over double digits in full PPR. So I do trust Terry McLaurin in this game. This game's also in New York, so that I don't know if that changes anything. My head's saying Cooper Kupp, though. I want to bet on that Rams offense. I'm going to say Cooper Kupp's the guy we're looking for, but it's very close. If you wanted to go with McLaurin, I'm fine with it, but I'm going to play Kupp. Would you flip Chuba for Deontay? Another team has no RB2 to start this week. Well, first, this is a good note here. Always start a healthy Kupp. I think I agree with that. This one's tough because we do see Chuba, his value going down. You are helping a league mate get a running back to start this week, though. I don't know if Deontay. I don't know what Deontay is going to offer for us long term. I think he's going to be a guy that's probably best as your wide receiver for your bench. I don't know if we're ever going to feel good starting Deontay Johnson, but I think rest of season I'd probably rather own Deontay Johnson. So I'm cool with it. If you can look around for other trading partners real quick to see if you can get something better than Deontay, I probably would do that. But if this is the best deal you have, I think I'm fine moving on from Chuba Hubbard. Again, they're using Sanders a little bit more, and we have Jonathan Brooks coming back, and it looks like Bryce Young might be starting for a bit here. So I think I'm okay getting out of here. Oh, this does change thing. He is playing me. Then I'm not giving my opponent a running back too, man. Not doing it. I'll wait. Yep, I'm not going to give him a running back two this week. Kmet or Dalton Schultz full PPR. Ugh. I'm going to go Dalton Schultz tomorrow night against the Jets. I don't feel amazing about it, but all they have is Tank Dell and Dalton Schultz tomorrow night. The Bears offense didn't look good. I know Cole Kmet's a touchdown boomer bust guy, but he's only had 2 good games in fantasy all year. Everything else has been kind of a dud. I think I'm going to go Dalton Schultz on Texans have one hand behind their back, so I'll go Dalton Schultz. I'm fine with Geno Smith this week. If they don't have DK Metcalf, I'm not fine with Geno Smith. Like, the offense looked pretty bad without DK Metcalf. So as long as DK's out there, I'm fine with Geno Smith. 9 teams all within one game. That's a good league right there. Is Vikings D still safe this week with Flacco playing? So you do have the opportunity for more sacks and potentially, some interceptions or something like that. So I'm not afraid. The Vikings defense is still a good defense. They did kind of get shredded by Matthew Stafford last week, though. So maybe there's a little something there. On the season so far, Joe Flacco, where is my Flacco? He's only thrown 1 interception in the 3 games that he's played. He's thrown 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, and 2 touchdowns. I don't love the play of the Vikings this week, but if you don't have anything better, I think I'm fine with going with them. Because again, there's going to be opportunities for sacks. There's going to be opportunities to intercept the ball, and it's in Minnesota. That's a tough place to play. I think the Vikings are still a top 10 play this week. How many points do you think Joe Flacco gets this week? Let me look up on the fantasyfellowship.com. I want to see what the Vikings are allowing to quarterbacks right now. So obviously Matthew Stafford skewed things last week with throwing 4 touchdowns, but the Minnesota Vikings are allowing about 16 to 17 points per game from the quarterback position right now. Flacco's probably going to throw for like 250 yards. I'm going to say he gets 1 touchdown for sure. The question's going to be that second touchdown. So you're looking at about 8 to 10 points from the yards, maybe 6 to 8 points from the touchdowns. He's probably going to get that 16, 17 points. So he's a solid QB2 start. If you need to start him in a QB1, I'm going to be a little nervous about it. Yeah, man. And I am nervous about Tank Dell. If he blows up tomorrow night, you have a window to trade him. Just Nico Collins coming back. So if Tank Dell has a good game tomorrow night, I think we're going to probably looking to see what we can get on the market. Joe Flacco or Jared Goff. I'm still going to go Jared Goff here. He's got the potential to throw 3-4 touchdowns, and it's a divisional game. Lions want to beat the Packers really bad, and they beat the Packers really bad last year in Lambeau. So I think Jared Goff's probably the one that I trust more. It's a better offense. I'd still play. Yep. And I'm not too concerned about that Goff injury either. It sounds like it was just like a day of rest. So overall, I'm not too worried about his ankle injury. Wednesday's not that crazy of a day to miss. So, but otherwise, guys, if you guys do have any more questions, hit me up on X, TikTok, comment on this video, whatever you need. I'm going to get out of here for the night. Again, if you want to hang out tomorrow evening, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, we'll go over all of the player practice news and answer your questions for you. But I want to thank you for hanging out with me. Happy Wednesday night. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.
Got me feeling icy.